a table talk session coming up. So people feel free to jump in and put your questions into the chat. We've got all the AI MVPs in Australia joining us today. So I'm going to start adding them into the stream. We've got Haritha, JK, I'm just counting people down as I add them in to make sure I've got everybody because there's so many of them around. But we're just here. This is kind of a break session throughout the agenda to kind of slow things down a bit. We've been learning so much. We've already had 3 different sessions with all different kind of material. So we'll take this time to kind of slow ourselves back into just a bit of chat, see what the community's like, because the whole thing is about the local community. So welcome, everyone.
Hey, welcome.
Hey, everyone.
Hello.
Okay,
Hello.
what I'm do is I've got people in an order. I'm hoping everyone else sees it in the same order as I do. So I might just go from left to the right and get everyone to introduce themselves. So Haritha, do you want to go off first?
Yep. Thank you, Akanksha. So I'm Haritha. I'm a MVP in AI based in Melbourne. So I'm attached with La Trobe University and AIS, Australian Institute of Sport. So my research is mostly going with deep learning, machine learning, and those stuff. So these days, mostly working with video data. So that's all about me.
JK, you're up next.
Hi, everyone. I'm JK, originally called Jernej Kavka, but most people can't pronounce that, so Jack is fine. I am an AI MVP as well from Brisbane. And I basically work for consultancy, so I have a lot of different projects to play with. I usually do .NET Core and EF Core, but we get more and more AI projects. And that's really exciting because AI is getting easier and easier, especially when you look at cognitive services like ML.NET. You might notice there's a hidden stack over there. I really love it. And the previous session was interesting to see how to use that in crickets. And I'm really excited for this table talk to discuss about things.
Perfect. Arafat, you're up next.
Okay, yes. So everybody, I've just spoken on ML.NET. So if you are connected, if you are still connected, then I really appreciate your patience. I am Arafat, and I am also an AI MVP based in Sydney. So if I'm working with EY right now, and my stack is all around Microsoft technologies, from .NET to business applications to Azure AI. My passion is Azure AI, so we'll be discussing all about AI today. Over to you, Has.
Thanks, Arafat. Nice to see everyone. A lot of familiar faces. I hope everybody is enjoying the show so far. My name is Has Altaya. I'm based in Melbourne, Victoria, in Australia. My background is a software developer, currently working as a director for VNext Solutions, a small consultancy based here in Victoria. I'm also a Microsoft Azure MVP as well as AI MVP. A lot of my work really with my customers focuses on applied AI. So consuming pre-built models like cognitive services and building chatbots and the likes. I wouldn't say I'm hardcore AI like Haritha, for example, but we do a lot of AI projects, and it's certainly exciting seeing how things are getting easier and easier, like JK said before.
Perfect. And my name is Akanksha, if you haven't already seen me talk for the last God knows how long. I am also an AI MVP here in Melbourne. There are a lot of us stuck out here in lockdown, but we haven't seen anyone from Perth. That's what we need to do. We need to get an overall view, right, of Australia. We need to put people down in Perth now. But yeah, I'm a data scientist here in Melbourne, and bunch of other communities and stuff. And I think that's where we're going to jump into next, just to start off with, because the whole session is kind of around the AI communities around Australia specifically, to keep it local focus. So maybe, again, we'll just go in the order that we just did and just kind of chat through the different communities that you yourself are a part of and really enjoy being a part of. Haritha, do you want to take it away first?
Yeah, so in here in Melbourne, we have an actively running, many actively running meetups and communities going on that is connected with AI. Plus, there are some meetups that is mostly with Azure stuff. So we have the Melbourne Azure Nights. So has me and Chanaka, we are hosting those things for many years now. Though we are not having like live on-prem sessions right now, but we are planning to do some online sessions in the coming months, mostly related to Azure plus uh, other things more, like AI would be also be a part there. With that, there are many other communities also, not only in the Microsoft stuff. So there are communities like Data Science Melbourne, which is one of the biggest data science related groups here in Australia. So we do talk on most of the theoretical parts and how to apply those theories in practical aspects, where we get some complex problems when it comes to numerical data, plus in other forms of data, which is mostly unstructured that we find today. So Data Science Melbourne is also another good place that you can join us. So if you go for meetup.com, you can find out us there and get in touch. So that will be very good communities to get in touch with us, I would say.
Perfect. And this is going to be a theme throughout this, that there's going to be overlapping events and meetups and stuff. Because I mean, the same, you'll start, like, that's the best thing about the community, right? You'll start seeing the same kind of people around and you start making friends. So make sure you do show up. JK, do you want to talk a bit more about the Brisbane end of things?
So in Brisbane, we do have AI community. I don't see it as strong as in other cities at the moment, but I hope with the APAC AI user group that we're doing and just making people more comfortable with AI is going to improve the situation. Like, we're trying to do virtual AI hack day in Brisbane physically, hopefully soon, so that people can actually come in a place and just try out different AI stuff and have people on site to help them out. And I think we're getting also a bit more virtual AI events in Brisbane. So you can join to more AI user groups. But I think right now most of them are just watching it from home. So it's a little bit hard to gauge how many people are engaged at the moment with AI. But I'm very hopeful.
That is a very good point. And Arafat, do you want to maybe mention the other things you do with the global AI community, as well as everything else I know you're a part of? There's just so many things happening for you.
Are you referring to me, Akanksha?
Yes, sorry, maybe I'm yeah, I was just mentioning how
all right.
technical difficulties in Australia is nothing surprising with the way our Wi-Fi works here. But essentially, maybe you want to mention more about the Sydney things and what you're involved with, including the global AI community itself.
Yeah, so as everybody's speaking about their own cities first, so let's talk about Sydney. We have got some good stuff in Sydney going on around Azure AI specifically, because what we have done is we are running an Azure Sydney user group, and we are running a small chapter of Azure AI within that. So if we get anything from AI's perspective, we that as well. Past couple of events, on past couple of meetups, we brought there was a Microsoft Cognitive Services program manager who came and gave us the talk on Azure text-to-speech, neural text-to-speech service. It was fantastic. And since we are now hosting in-person events, so it's getting better, making others jealous in all around Victoria.
Are you trying to show off, Arafat?
The second part is we
will catch up soon.
So so the second part is we are running. We all are running, like me, Akanksha, and JK, along with Sobi, we are running a global podcast. So if you are one of those who's interested in learning about AI and different verticals of AI, then please join our podcast. We usually do every once in a month, and we cover the experts from Australia who are working with Azure AI, helping their customers out, like Has and Haritha. They will be soon our guests, so you don't want to miss them. Over to you, Has.
Thanks, Arafat. And I appreciate that you are bragging about your in-person meetups. We can't have that here in Victoria, but we've been steadily doing our online events. We've been doing quite a few. The meetup that I work on with Haritha and others is mostly focused on Azure as well as AI. So we try to keep things interesting. 1 month we talk about AI, 1 month we talk about data, 1 month we talk about integration and things like that. It's quite a good community. We have more than 3,500 people who are registered. On a usual event, you would find probably 40, 50 people, more or less. I think it's quite a good and engaged community. I would encourage if anybody online and interested, whether they are here in Victoria or in other states, unless you are close to Arafat and you can attend in person, I would join. I would encourage you to join online. Couple of the other communities that I also get involved with is with university. So I work with University of Monash University, for example, and Melbourne Uni, helping with mentoring students and supporting programs that encourage more women participation in technology. And also there are good communities there, people trying to engage and connect with each other and see what's happening in data and AI.
So I think from across the board, it's a really good way to highlight that there's things happening in all different localities. I know we haven't covered the WA too much, but there is loads of stuff out there too, and I will hunt the people down and share all the links I can afterwards. Don't worry. But it's interesting, and I think the lockdown really has kind of exemplified that idea of the borders don't matter as much. Like, I mean, it doesn't matter if Brisbane's having a really cool event because we can still jump on and view them, even if they're doing it in person. I really hope they're still going to keep the hybrid because I do enjoy some of the events that are everywhere. But it's really, really interesting. And I think that kind of barriers being broken down, especially the whole, it doesn't matter where you're based in and you can just join it anywhere, is really cool. And I think that'll kind of lead into the next part of it is where, what do you see these kind of community events moving forward as going? Like, I mean, so many people, including myself, I mean, the chances of me going, I mean, I love seeing people and I love chatting to people, but also going into the city just for a 2-hour thing, it's probably going to be a no for me. Like, if I'm in the city, yeah, okay, maybe I'll stay around, but I'm not going to go make the way like 45 minutes into the CBD just for an event. I'm happy joining in online if I can, right? So what is your kind of like, what's your community saying about this? What kind of a prospect you're taking in the next, oh my God, I really can't talk. In the next few months is what I'm trying to say. Whoever wants to take that one first, I'm happy with free for all. Has, do you want to maybe try that one first? Especially because We're stuck in Melbourne with everything virtual.
Yeah, sure. We did actually try to run an in-person event just before this last lockdown. So if somebody didn't know, we in Victoria, this is our 4th lockdown. So just before this last lockdown, we were hoping to run an in-person event. But we realized that it's actually quite hard, just like you mentioned, Akanksha, like people like ourselves, a lot of people not going to the office, or people who are going to the office, they are going probably once or twice a week. So chances are, on a given day, you're not going to have a lot of people in the CBD. I think the trend is going to be a lot of events going to be still hybrid. A lot of events still going to be online because it makes it accessible, convenient. A lot of people can join. You can get really good speakers, whether from around Australia or from abroad. Time would be quite convenient. But But then I think every couple of months, we're probably going to want to have at least one event in person where people can come together and meet each other. Because there is nothing that's going to really replace that face-to-face conversation, connecting with people. And in my experience, and what I heard from a lot of the people in our community is, to them, the community is really more about the connections and the conversations that you have outside of the presentations and the session. So it's not just about the technical presentation, it's more about the connection that you form with other people. So I think this trend of online events is probably going to continue for God knows how long, but it's going to hopefully be complemented by some in-person events.
I think it's a good balance to have as well. I mean, definitely, like anyone I meet, and in terms of mentoring, or they're like, oh, how do I get a job in AI? Or I'm like, go to a meetup, find the people, find everyone, you'll see everything, you'll get the jobs in meetups. That's exactly how it works. So that networking aspect it provides is so important. And I think, so I run Women Who Code in Melbourne, and the biggest kind of thing that we would put forward is, yeah, we do events that are really happy. Like, I mean, they help out in terms of developing your skills, whether it's technically or professionally. But the biggest thing we offered was the fact that we moved from office to office. Like every month there was a different sponsor with a different location. So you got to meet different, like whether it was just the official people or just other women and that aspect is so important. But I think the other end of it is just actually, even if we do have a hybrid event and you're like, okay, cool, I'll cater for 40 people to come in. And then, I mean, I would be again one of those people that I'm like, today, it's raining, I'm just gonna stay home. Like I'll decide on the day to stay home, but then all those logistics play such an important part in those community aspects of meetups and stuff. It's really interesting. Maybe someone in Sydney or Brisbane, JK, Arafat, like you've been having in-person meetups for a while now. How has that kind of change going back into normal life, old life? I don't even know what to call it, has been.
Which one want to go first? I'll take
go
that.
For it, okay.
Go on.
Yeah. So we just right now finished a in-person event, right, like 5 minutes ago. I actually presented right before the talk, so it was a little bit interesting on the time. But what we're doing is a hybrid event at this stage where we are hosting it in 5 cities simultaneously. And the presenters in whichever city they are. Occasionally we're allowed to do remote talks, but what we really want to get, trying to get people that comfortable to go to user groups, but still make it virtual. So anyone who can't come, they can still watch it online. I think we still see that as a big benefit, but I hope in the coming months, we will be able to have each user group in its own city, like we used to have, because one of the benefits we see is people simply having more time to be able to talk. You don't have to say exactly at 6:30 p.m. we start, and because everyone in all of the cities starts, it's just like we need to finish with talking. We can't just postpone it for 2-3 minutes. I hope that comes back in, so the socializing becomes more natural. It's a little bit less need on organization from that part. And what we also are trying to do, getting back virtual hack days. That's one of the things that we're still struggling to figure out how to actually execute, because people that are there, we want them to do the actual hack day. The ones that are virtually, at the moment, it's more practical to just give them instructions and be available for them to help, rather than doing in person is just more practical. We haven't found a good way to mentor in person and virtually at the same time at the moment. So that's roughly the directions we're going, and hopefully we will still retain a virtual hybrid in the future, but have dedicated on-site user groups, because people are more likely to show up than the ones that are hybrid or virtual only. And one of the issues that I mentioned earlier is because it's so virtual, everything, I actually don't exactly know what's the state of the Brisbane AI community, because everything is virtual. So they might be from New Zealand, they might all be from Brisbane, they might even not be from this part of the globe. They might be from US, for all I know. So hopefully we'll get back to where we talk face to face. That's all from my side.
No, that's a really good kind of overall view of putting everything together. And I think we've already kind of touched on the fact that meetups and these kind of communities are so important, not just for the support that they provide in terms of actually leveraging, like, how do you learn and how do you meet and network with these people? Because I'm going to say it again, people, networking actually makes a big difference. Go find your people in your community, because they will get you all the jobs you want, especially if you're moving into AI from a different place. Like, these are the people that can help figure out exactly what you needed, the mentoring and stuff. But along those lines, okay, cool, these communities have gone online, but the networking aspect is still available. Almost every single meetup that I've been to still kind of creates some kind of breakout rooms, somewhere to chat and actually have that kind of experience of networking. But what about just in general in Australia? I think, what is the market like for AI? If anyone wants to touch on that in terms of the community.
Yeah, can I just interrupt a little bit on the point of community? What I found in Europe and US, they're far more open to VR events. And what I found with VR events is people are just more casually talking. And I think that's something that is missing with the virtual and hybrid events. And I'm really hoping that that we're going to get more VR events here in Australia, because what you get in VR is distance between people. You can see people, you can look at people, and people can see to whom you're talking. They can, even though you don't have facial expressions and all of the stuff, you can actually use emoji and stuff like that. And you can hear their voice, you can kind of see their body language. And I think that makes a huge difference. And I hope we will get into that feature soon. Anyways, that's what I wanted to add.
Yeah, no, it's good. I think, I don't know if anyone else has done these VR events. I did one, I can't remember for what event, but it was just so cool when, like, the closer you got to someone, the louder their voice would get, like almost as if in person that you're walking to someone. You're like, I was just like, this is so weird and this is so cool, but also now I'm freaked out about this. It's just such a context switch to kind of get used to it. But look, here we are. But yeah, sorry. Okay, cool. What is the market looking for? Maybe Haritha, Arafat, I know you're kind of completely opposing worlds of PhD and research to kind of really kind of just consulting. Maybe you want to take the difference of what we're looking for in Australia.
You mean like how the AI is going to be in the future kind of thing?
Yeah, go whatever interpretation you wish to take it as. It's all good.
Yeah, I would say in my case, I'm more into like now how to apply the research stuff more into the practical aspects. What I see mostly is what the people is looking for is more interpretable AI, and to see kind of like transparency in the AI algorithms and kind of like giving definitions into that. So I have seen Microsoft is working on that pretty closely right now, having that interpretable AI libraries and everything, working together with most of the popular machine learning algorithms. That is one thing I see right now the trend is going on. And another thing I would say is how to deploy the AI models more in the edge applications. So that is where we are working towards now with ONNX runtimes and everything. So that is another aspect that we are looking forward in, and MLOps. So I would say like all of the guys here who's into consultancy and those stuff has Arafat, and we all have experience in the cases where people have data sitting on their databases for a long time, but haven't used those things for a while. Might be they haven't used those things at all. So we have seen the places where they are more talking about ML ops, which is going to automate their all machine learning life cycles. So I would say these things, previously it was meant to be more industrial aspect, but those things are now coming into the industry, for the research as well. because in our case we are mostly working with the sports stuff, though we are not having footy or anything right now, but we are getting back to the phase where we are going to deploy most of our models which we can use on the ground even. So we are mostly considering on MLOps pipelines plus AI on the edge right now.
Yeah, that's great. From the consultancy point of view, I think so. I'll divide it into two parts. One of the parts I will kindly request Haas to comment on that, and the reason I'll tell you the later reason about that. So the first part is how it is growing and how the demand is growing. So a lot of the times we have seen that customers, especially the customers who have got their whole stack built on Microsoft solutions, now they are coming up themselves without we going to them or our sales people going to them. And I've seen this trend since past 3 years now, that businesses have been coming to us and asking us, okay, these are the things. This a capability is there, like AI capability is there into A product. Can we implement this into our B product and all that? So I've seen a lot of the times that even with the business applications, from the business applications perspective, people are asking us to implement like chatbots, like AI capabilities into them to predict some costs around that, to predict and to detect some anomaly or anything like that. So these are the cases which are growing in demand. They were not those, like the frequency of those cases were not there earlier. Now they have come up more than ever. This was first, and the second part is uh, how is the market looking like. So if you are a .NET developer, or if you are already equipped with Azure or any other platform, not just Microsoft, I've seen that the tools are now there to just upskill yourself easily to build those, to solve those small or basic problems which you can take it to even to production. Yes, there are certain complexities which you may not be able to solve being just a developer on certain stack. But I think for that I would request has to comment on, because he has been working with customers actually solving their problems using Azure AI. So Has, can you please shed some light on that?
Yeah, thanks, Arafat. What you're saying actually makes full sense, and it resonates really well with me. So, like I said at the beginning, my background is a developer. So I did a lot of development, front end, back end, .NET. I even did some Java and PHP at some point. Did mobile applications. So when this whole buzz about AI and data came, I thought, okay, this is a nice thing, and it's going to be the next big thing. I want to ride on this. And I've seen a lot of people who are probably experiencing similar thing to what I have gone through. A lot of people would ask me, if I want to get into the field of AI, do I need to be a data scientist? Do I need to understand a lot about algorithms and math? And the answer is yes and no, depending on what you want to do. A lot of projects, like Arafat was saying, a lot of projects that we do with our customers, you might have one data scientist, you might have two data scientists, depending on the problem that you are trying to solve and the size of the project. But you might have two data engineers, for example. You would have a DevOps engineer. You would have an AI engineer, for example. So you could jump into the field of AI without you having to be very strong at math, for example, or without you having to be a data scientist. You could be an AI engineer, for example. There is a lot of demand, like Arafat said. There is a lot of demand. A lot of companies are realizing it's not really science fiction anymore. So there is a lot of demand. There is a lot of projects. Yeah, I hope that covers it.
No, it does, and I think I love the answer of yes and no. It's not the most iconic consulting answer that you can give to anyone. Yes and no, it depends. Just the classic buzzwords in here, but that is a really good way, and it's a good place to actually wrap everything up as well. And I think, look, we're all out in the community. Reach out. I'm pretty sure no one's here going to be saying no to anyone reaching out for any advice or anything. So reach out if it's just for a chat. I'm more than happy to have a chat. Clearly, I'm just dying at home sometimes. So I mean, please reach out for a chat. That'd be great. But look, in the meantime, I'm sure we'll see everyone around in the community, and we will leave it off there for this table talk.
Thanks a lot.
All right, thanks everybody.
I'm just going to slowly drop everybody off the stream as I keep chatting. So just before we jump into the next session, very quickly, I'm just going to remind everyone of the prizes that we do have going away from our sponsors. So we've got Arinti giving away a $50 gift card for Amazon. You just hop onto Twitter and do a bit of promo for them, and you've got $50 to your name. We've also got Microsoft giving away their swag boxes for completing cloud skill challenges. Look, might as well upskill yourself while winning some prizes. It's a win-win situation. And you can also actually claim your learner badge for attending the sessions today as well. So with that, let's jump over to the next session.